Man, I love how MHA went from like not putting out barely any chapters this month to dropping 2 bangers back to back. Cause just as I finished recording 414, they dropped another banger, which is 415. And oh my god, I gotta talk about this one. But before I get into it, make sure you guys like and subscribe, you know the deal. Help a brother out, and let's get into talking about today's chapter. So this chapter starts following that epic finale that was in 414, and we see that mind melding thing that was happening in that chapter is continuing here. And Yuichi kind of adds a bit of context by going on to say that their memories are being blended together. This is an accelerated response to All for One resonating with my brother's quirk factor, and by transferring the second, we've reached a critical point. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he means by this, but what I'm thinking is that their quirks are actually starting to fuse together to form one super quirk. Now, who will have that quirk at the end of the series is yet to be determined, but that's just my interpretation right now. I'm not certain exactly what he means, but maybe someone in the comments can shed some more light on that. Yuichi went on to say, "My brother wished for a strong heart so that he could steal one for all. But no matter how powerful he got, the one true heart was here all along. The ultimate villain whose spirit is solidified hatred and malice. We needed to stop his evil acts. That's what we've done from the start." And then we see that Deku is going in for another big attack, but instead of just putting one quirk in him, he's charging every single one all at once, which I think would absolutely shatter Shigaraki's core. But in the next page, we actually see that their minds are melding even more, and then we actually see the USJ incident from both of their perspective, from Deku and both Shigaraki's perspective. And my god, look how far both of them have come, and look at how different they both look relative to where they started. And both in their epic clash scream out each other's name, Midoriya, Shigaraki, as Deku lands another hit straight to his chest, and we see that one of the quirks is being transferred in that same blow. And that quirk not only broke through the exterior shell of his core, but is also into his interior shell. But Deku is still confused because he tried to transfer all of them, and apparently only N got through, which, thank god. But that Gorobanjo continues to say that he rejected us having a strong enough will to steal us, so I guess it's possible. N was the only one that managed to break through. That explains the damage. Now, Deku's still trying to figure out a strategy on how he can actually get the quirks to transfer. Now, he's wondering if he could take advantage of those fingers, but apparently those fingers are just more like exterior appendages, like fingers or dirt under your hand. So it's not really part of his body, it's just like a thing he can continuously do. But while this is happening, another one of Shigaraki's memory blends with his. And it is one of the moments that I think the fandom has been waiting for. We see that young Tenko is actually being brought home by a strange man, and that was the same day that he received this quirk. And I know a lot of people might not remember this, but it was a big thing and a big speculation in the fandom of All for One is actually the one that gave Shigaraki decay, and I think this moment might be confirming it. I'm hoping that they expand a little bit more on it, but we will see. But regardless of this big fandom moment, Deku is still resolved to keep going and keep fighting. As he continues his assault on Shigaraki, he forms this massive armor of hands, and it looks amazing. Both him and Deku look absolutely phenomenal in this page. And just as I thought this couldn't get more epic, what I thought was a Saiyan pod had shown up, but actually no, it's just Mei's Hatsume's surveillance camera that she had from several chapters ago, but it was such a quick thing you might have missed it. And we see that Hatsume is just keeping an eye on Deku because apparently she's one of his clients, so it's really important to her. And we actually do get a resolution to the whole UA falling thing, apparently gentle, as well as Cementos has finally taken it out the sky and brought it down safely. And Labrava's also here. She's kind of just appreciative of Deku for helping Gentle Criminal basically turn his life around from being an actual criminal to now being the hero he always wanted to be. It's just a little thing, but it's here. I feel like I should have mentioned it. But on the final page, we cut to the evacuation shelter, and we actually see that a lot of people are still watching the fight between Deku versus Shigaraki. Now, we see Ectoplasm, and he's telling someone to, hey, wait. And who is that person? Who else but Eri? And that is the end of the chapter, which, oh my god, all the implications that are made in this chapter have my mind going absolutely crazy. But before I rave about how good this chapter was again, let me give this an overall rating. And do you need to really even think about it? It's a 10. It's a perfect 10 out of 10. I think that this did another amazing job. The last 2 chapters were absolutely amazing. I have been loving this fight. I love the memory melding. I love the references for the fandom. It's doing everything correct, and I hope they keep this momentum going because this is such a good pace for the story. And again, I think this is coming to a great ending for MHA. I love seeing Deku go all out. I love seeing him bruised and battered. and really giving it his all, which is kind of a little unfair for Deku because like Shigaraki can heal, so no matter how much of a beatdown Deku pulls on him, he just recovers. But I'm glad that he's figured out that whole quirk transferring thing that makes him take a little bit of damage, whether it be mental or physical. I'm still glad to see that Deku can fight back in some way. Now, as for what Eri could bring to the story, I'm very curious about that because I don't know how she could safely get to that battlefield, especially since Shigaraki has decayed quite a bit of the area. And also, I'm curious as to what she's going to do to help the situation out. Would she potentially rewind Deku, or maybe rewind someone else that can help Deku with the fight? That is something I'm really curious to find out. And just some early speculations on who I think that could be. I think she might potentially actually rewind Shirakumo, because right now he's in that mental battle between him and Kurogiri, and maybe she would rewind him to a state where he can still use the quirk, but also have better mental control over himself. And she could also rewind Eraserhead so that he can actually use his quirk, because the Monoma thing is useful, but Monoma can only hold the quirk for about 5 to 10 minutes. So with Eraser, he can hold it indefinitely until he blinks, so that'd be a lot more useful. But the answer is probably going to be she's just going to rewind Deku. But it's still curious as to how she's going to get to the battlefield because it's pretty far from the shelter, so who knows. And that memory that Deku saw with Tenko holding a man's hand, is this finally confirmation on what we've been speculating for so long, that All For One gave Tenko the quirk, which would make sense because if they're remembering Shigaraki's memories, that's technically the day Shigaraki would have been born, was the day that he received that quirk. And I also wonder how Deku will react if he eventually sees the memory of how Shigaraki ended up killing his family, because he wants to save him, but he actually is not aware of how that happened. No one's really aware of what happened to Tenko's family. So how would he react when he finally sees the truth on why Shigaraki's so damaged? And I kind of wonder how Nana would also react, because she will feel totally responsible for everything that's happened. And also seeing the man her son ended up becoming, because he was not only an abuser, but he died in a very violent fashion. So I wonder how the story will handle that, if it will handle it at all. But regardless, my thoughts on that, I'm very curious as to where the story is going in that direction, and I hope to see more. But I absolutely love the parallels on this, because we have two people who could have potentially been quirkless that received two of the most powerful quirks in the world. And it's insane to see how the story played out and how we got here, which, as I said in my previous video, I do have some issues with some of the different stories and some of how they handle a lot of the other characters in MHA. A lot of characters I do still think are shafted and didn't really get the glory they need, but I do think with Shigaraki and Deku, they've been done pretty well. The only issue I have with Shigaraki is just mostly his motives to just burn everything to the ground. I kind of wanted a little bit more out of him, but seeing his backstory and truly remembering all the stuff he's been through, it kind of makes sense. It's just like, it's not what I would have wanted for him, but I'm totally fine with that being the outcome. But I still hate All For One though. I've tried my best to like him, but I really can't bring myself to like All For One as a character. But anyway, that's probably a video for another time. I think that's an interesting video to talk about. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say on this. Again, hopefully you guys will see me probably one more time in the next couple weeks. I have to edit this Boruto video, but I'm hoping that next month I could put out a lot more stuff, or put out some stuff that I've been working on. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. Hopefully you guys come back and subscribe and like and watch, because I need all the support I can, because I really want to do this full time eventually. But again, special thanks to everyone that's helped me so far and continues to help me. I'm hoping that I can make some good quality content for you guys and continue to just make the level of content that I'm making now and make you guys happy. But that's all I have to say for now. Stay safe, my ninjas, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.